Hello, Grandma DC here. And I have had a request for Keto Coffee Cake. Easy peasy. It's not difficult to do baking with the ketogenic diet. As a matter of fact, it's almost too easy. I try not to do a lot of baking because it seems to me that when I do, sometimes it can make me crave more carbohydrates like the real ones. As if these are fake ones. They're not, they're real. But nothing could be easier than cake. So, you start off with fats. I have in here a half of a stick of butter. And I've slightly melted it. I have a block of cream cheese. Now, I want to save part of this block. So I'm going to cut off about 1/3 of it. And you see about 1/3 maybe? You see how accurate my measurements are? Okay, I'm going to put the rest of it in there. Now there's our fats, which is a really great base for any start of baking. You start with your fats. All right, let me find something to plug into. Start with fats. And I have stuck another chunk of butter and cream cheese in this little bowl for later. I'll show you what that's going to be. Simple, simple. Now, I like to have a little more volume in my baking, so I beat my egg whites. If you want a heavier product, you don't have to do this. But I'm going to put 4 egg yolks, I'm going to be perfect about this, into my fats over here. And I'm going to put the egg whites into a different bowl. There we go. Now beat the egg whites until they're pretty fluffy and stiff. As you can see, my great-grandmother used to do this by hand. Doesn't that make you feel like a wussy? Because we're all griping about it taking so long using a beater. Now I'm going to beat up the 4 egg yolks, the 2/3 cup of cream cheese, and the butter. Because this is baking. And you need something to make it sweet or it's not going to taste good. That's all there is to it. I do not like to use stevia in baking. Now, sometimes the stevia you get from the store has maltodextrin in it and things like that, and it bakes okay. But I have pure stevia for my drinks and things. And I'm going to go ahead and go with the erythritol. And I'm going to put 2 tablespoons in here. This has no impact on the glycemic index in your body. It won't raise your insulin. That's what I've been told. So we're putting 2 tablespoons in there. I'm going to come over here, and I have the brown sugar erythritol, and I'm going to put 1 tablespoon in. And this is for just the batter. We're going to come back and visit this when we do the topping. You always got to have a drop of vanilla in your coffee cake. That's pure, real vanilla I put in there. And to give it just a little bit of a coffee hint, I'm going to put in a teaspoon of instant coffee. You can leave this out. But I thought this would be kind of fun to give it a little coffee hint. And we're going to stir this up. And remember now, we've got our fats, we've got flavors in here, we've got our beaten egg whites over there. What are we going to need next? We're going to need our dry ingredients and some leavening. So, get this beat up, give it a taste. Make sure it's sweet enough. You know what? I'm going to put just a touch of stevia in it, just to take it up over the edge. And I'm going to use my new liquid stevia. So let's go with, I don't know, about 30 drops, a squirt. I like things sweet. I haven't used that liquid stevia yet. They say it bakes better than the other one, so let's try that. Stir it up again, and again, taste. Oh, much better. Wow, I'm impressed. Okay, before I fold these things in together, I'm going to get the dry ingredients. Now, almond flour is the best thing I have found to use in baking. However, it's expensive. I mean, people put 3 cups of almond flour in something, and I'm like, whoa, that cost a lot. I'm going to use 1 cup of almond flour. There's a half a cup, and there's 1 cup. And to this we're going to add things that will make it rise. So we're going to add a teaspoon of baking soda and 2 teaspoons of double-acting baking powder. Oh yeah, we want this thing to rise to the occasion. A sprinkle of salt makes everything good, as my grandmother always said. So, a little 1/8, just a little bit of salt in there. And I'm going to stir this together. This incorporated, then I'm going to go ahead and incorporate the egg whites to lighten it up. And we have our leavening, we have our fats, and we have our almond flour.
And you just kind of fold it in together. You're not going to be able to keep it, perfect. Nothing's perfect. But I like doing it this way. It does seem to make a lighter product in the end. Come on, baby. Fold, baby, fold. Folding, folding, fast forwarding. Folding, folding, fast forwarding. Can you see in this big glass bowl how that looks? What do you think?
I think that's about good enough. I'm not seeing any like white lumps too much anymore. Now I have this narrow loaf pan made of silicone. I love it. I'm going to spray it with coconut oil. And I'm going to put half of this in there. That's right, just half. I'm going to spread it around. Back to the brown sugar, erythritol. We're going to go with a tablespoon. I'm going to use my hands to make sure I sprinkle that evenly, and then we're going to go get the cinnamon. Oh, the smell of cinnamon. Well, you use like a slight tablespoon of cinnamon. That's a lot of cinnamon. Oh, I'm not putting it all in here at once. We're just covering it. All right. I'm going to set this rest of that tablespoon aside because we'll be using it later. All right. Now, I hope you can see this. I'm going to hold it up as high as I can so that you can see the consistency of that batter. It's very light. It's very fluffy. Okay. And now I'm just going to cover up that sugar and cinnamon layer with this layer. Then I'm going to do something a little crazy. 1/4 of a cup of raw sesame seeds. You do not have to do this. You can just sprinkle it with the swerve or the brown sugar erythritol sweetener. Swerve's the same thing. And some cinnamon and be done with it. But I was thinking that I wanted a little more crunch to the top. And so I'm going to add the rest of that almost half a tablespoon of cinnamon to there. And I'm going to put a nice big tablespoon of the brown sugar. I'm also going to put a half a tablespoon, just a half, of the erythritol granules. Now this is our topping, remember? And I'm going to mix that around with the raw sesame seeds. Like I said, you don't have to use the sesame seeds. For me, this is just a taste test. Fabulous. Textural thing. And I am going to put those all over the top. Get that nice, crispy, crunchy top going. A sesame seed, cinnamon, sugar mixture, or erythritol mixture on top. And I'm going to put this in the oven at 375 degrees, and I'm going to check on it in about 30 minutes. And it may have to cook a little longer than that. So we'll be back. Now while that's baking, I'm going to make the topping. I'm going to stick this in the microwave. It is pretty soft, but I'm going to soften it more in the microwave. Stir it together, the cream cheese and the butter. And then we're going to add sweetener, cinnamon, to it, and a little vanilla. And we're going to drizzle that over the top when it's all cool. And there it is with the sugar and the cinnamon and the vanilla and the sour cream added. We'll just stir it all together. Stick this in the refrigerator and we'll have icing for our coffee cake. Well, I came in to check. We've got 13 minutes left on the clock. And I came in to check and it's raised up really nice. I can see that it's still kind of sunk here in the middle and watery. So we're going to probably leave it longer than that 15 minutes. That was, I had it in for 35 minutes. So I'm going to turn the heat down to about 350. I turn it to 340. Let it bake slow. And I'm going to turn the time up for 25 more minutes and then check on it. Okay, I turned it down to 340. I see we've sunk in the middle. That's okay. And it's cooked for a total of an hour. I'm wondering, I'm going to take it out. I had turned it from 375 to 340. And I'm going to take it out. Because it's not what it looks like. It's all about the taste. And just sticking my finger on top of it and licking it, it tasted pretty good. Okay, so pretty is as pretty does. I have touched it on the edges are firm. It's pretty firm here in the middle. It springs back when I touch it. I can tell you the cinnamon sesame seeds are amazing. And we're going to have to let this completely cool. I have the icing in the refrigerator. And as soon as it's completely cool, which I hope it has time before I head back to work to completely cool, I will taste that with some icing. And then the rest of it's going to Debbie and the girls. Like I said, sometimes baking causes me to get a little cravey. Maybe with any luck at all, it won't be that good, and then I won't crave. That would be great. Only person in the world that bakes and hopes it doesn't taste good. Still hot. It is still hot. I inverted it onto a plate. Just thought you'd kind of like to get a look at it before it shrivels and collapses completely. I have to admit, there was a little piece that ran down the back side. Pretty tasty. Well, look at this happy accident. It's cooled off. I could turn it over like that. And it does make a nice little hollow in the middle, and I consider that to be where the icing goes. Yeah. Look at that happy accident. That just fills in real nice right there, doesn't it? Well, I'm going to save some of this icing to put on my personal piece that I'm going to try here in just a second. Hang on, my phone's ringing. It's a keeper. It's moist. It's got that kind of moistness that you get with that little bit of spring to it. Like most keto recipes have. I'm glad I put a little bit of coffee in it and the cinnamon. The only suggestion I might make is if you're loaded for bear with money and you can afford a lot of almond flour, which I can't, you know, it might be just more dense and more coffee cake-like if you put like a cup and 3/4 of almond flour in it. But this, I beat it up, put the egg whites in there, and that has made it kind of springy and very good. Oh yeah. I'm definitely going to finish the rest of this, and I'm definitely taking it to someone else before I eat the whole thing. Well, there you go, everybody. My version of keto coffee cake. Now, with 1 cup of almond flour in it, it is lower in carbs. So enjoy. There's lots of recipes on the net, some better than this one, but this is as low as I can make it. Oh my heavens, it's going in the refrigerator. Yum. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe to keep up with the keto insanity. And I love you all, and I am happy to be supporting you and honored that you are here supporting me. Thank you so much.